Have you ever thought about it? Some people simply don't like you. Even when you've never done anything wrong to them, you've never treated them unfairly, you've never lied to them, you've never spoken behind their backs. In fact, never spoken behind their backs. In fact, you've often been kind to them, and yet they still don't like you. They keep an invisible distance from you. They downplay your success, feel uncomfortable around your presence, or dislike you for reasons they can't even explain themselves. But why? Do people really react to what you do, or do they react to what they see in you and lack within themselves? In this video, we'll explore why some people may dislike you even when you've done nothing wrong, and the psychological truths behind it. Sometimes you can sense that people don't like you even though you've done absolutely nothing to them. They don't show open hostility, they don't say anything negative to your face. Most of the time, they even behave perfectly normal. Yet there is still an invisible distance between you. You can feel it in their eyes, their tone of voice, and their subtle reactions. It's as if your very presence makes them uncomfortable. At first, you begin to question yourself. Did I say something wrong? Did I hurt them without realizing it? Is there something about me that people find unlikable? In situations like these, the human mind immediately starts looking for fault within itself, because people rarely accept being disliked with ease. And when you genuinely have no bad intentions, when you've harmed no one and are simply trying to live your life, the situation becomes even more confusing. But the truth is, people don't need a reason to dislike you that involves bad behavior on your part. Sometimes your mere presence can awaken emotions they've been suppressing for years. Sometimes your calmness exposes their inner restlessness. Sometimes your success reminds them of dreams they've postponed. Sometimes your confidence forces them to confront their own insecurities. If someone dislikes you, it doesn't automatically mean you're a bad person. More often than not, it is a reflection of something unresolved within them. Because people don't react only to your actions, they also react to what you represent. To them, you may be more than just another person. You may become a reminder, a point of comparison, a perceived threat, or a mirror reflecting a version of themselves they never became. Some people dislike you because you have the courage to be yourself. You don't constantly change who you are to gain everyone's approval. You stay silent when necessary. You set boundaries when necessary. You say no when necessary. And that makes certain people uncomfortable because they have become accustomed to living according to the expectations of others. When you choose your own path, you remind them of the ways they've surrendered theirs. Many people claim to admire those who are truly free, yet deep down they may feel uncomfortable around them. Because a free person silently communicates a powerful message. You could have lived this way too. Even if those words are never spoken aloud, the feeling remains. And some people cannot tolerate that feeling. They may not attack you directly, but they may try to diminish you, ignore you, or make you seem less valuable. Sometimes people dislike you because you don't behave the way they expect. You don't laugh at every joke. You don't attend every invitation. You don't agree with every opinion. You don't abandon yourself simply to keep the peace. And that creates discomfort in some people. Because they want you to be someone they can control. When they realize they can't control you, they may label you as cold, arrogant, or distant. But that isn't always arrogance. Sometimes it's simply self-respect. Sometimes it's a person protecting their energy. Sometimes it's someone establishing healthy boundaries so they don't lose themselves in the crowd. Yet people who have no boundaries often misunderstand those who do. Because in their minds, everyone should always be available, agreeable, and accommodating. Another reason is jealousy. But jealousy isn't always loud and obvious. Sometimes it is incredibly quiet. It reveals itself when someone fails to congratulate you, minimizes your achievements, or responds coldly to your good news. When you succeed, some people don't feel inspired. Instead, they feel uncomfortable. because your progress reminds them that they have remained where they are. That is why some people dismiss your success as luck. They downplay your hard work. They say, well, they had opportunities, or it's really not that impressive. Because if they fully acknowledge your achievement, they would also have to confront their own inaction. And for many people, that is a difficult truth to face. But here's the interesting part. People are often not upset by what you have. They're upset by what you represent. They see that they could have been more disciplined, more courageous, started earlier, or lived differently. Yet instead of accepting that reality, criticizing you becomes the easier option. Some people dislike you simply because they don't understand you. People who think deeply are often seen as strange by those who live on the surface. Quiet people are often mistaken for being arrogant. Those who don't blend into every social situation are often labeled as self-centered. But the truth is, not everyone is meant to live the same way. Some people shine in crowds, while others gather strength in solitude. Some constantly speak, while others simply observe, yet people often judge what they do not understand. Because understanding requires effort, while judging is easy. They interpret your silence, your distance, and your thoughtful nature through the lens of their own assumptions. Then they create a story about you that has little to do with who you really are. That is why expecting everyone to understand you correctly is exhausting. People rarely see you as you truly are. Instead, they see you through the limits of their own perspective. Some mistake your calmness for weakness. Some mistake your kindness for naivety. Some see your distance as arrogance. Others perceive your confidence as a threat. And if you spend your life trying to correct all of these misunderstandings, you'll end up wasting your life repairing other people's false perceptions. Sometimes people dislike you because you make them feel small. Not intentionally. You don't show off. You don't try to put anyone down. But your character, your productivity, your way of thinking, or your outlook on life may awaken a sense of inadequacy within them. And rather than confronting that feeling, some people decide that you are the source of it. In reality, you haven't done anything to them at all. It's simply that around you they are forced to be alone with themselves. And that can be uncomfortable, because many people escape from themselves through crowds, gossip, entertainment, or constant distraction. But if your presence exposes the emptiness they've been avoiding, they may feel compelled to distance themselves from you. There is another reason as well. Some people dislike you because you don't seek their approval. You don't need their applause. You don't change direction based on their opinions. Whether they accept you or not, you continue moving forward. And that is deeply unsettling, especially to people who like being in control. Because some people use approval as a form of power. They reward you with acceptance and punish you with rejection. But when you refuse to play that game, when their attention is no longer the center of your world, they lose their influence over you. And that is often when they begin to show their dislike more openly. That is why trying to win everyone's approval doesn't make you stronger. It drains you. No matter how good you are, someone will misunderstand you. No matter how honest you are, someone will question your intentions. No matter how quiet you remain, someone will talk behind your back. No matter how successful you become, someone will try to diminish it. One of the most important stages of maturity is realizing this. Not everyone needs to like you. In fact, not everyone needs to understand you either. Not everyone shares your level of awareness, your life experiences, or your inner growth. Some people don't dislike you because they truly know you. They dislike you because of the burdens they carry within themselves. At that point, your job is not to constantly explain yourself, because no matter how much you explain, someone who doesn't want to understand you will still see you through their own distorted lens. Sometimes the strongest response is silence. Sometimes the wisest response is walking away. Sometimes, instead of defending yourself, you must choose the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your own worth. This is not indifference, it is self-preservation. Because if you spend your life living according to everyone's opinions, you eventually lose the ability to hear your own inner voice. Whether someone likes you or not does not determine your value. Being misunderstood does not mean you are wrong. Someone keeping their distance from you does not mean you are lacking. Remember, some people don't dislike you because they truly know you. They dislike you because of the feelings you awaken within them. You may have touched their fears, their insecurities, their comparisons, or the dreams they buried long ago. Even if you never intended to do so, your presence may have become an uncomfortable mirror for them. And perhaps the most important truth of all is this: a life in which everyone likes you is often a life in which you've sacrificed too much of yourself. Because when a person tries to adapt to everyone, they slowly begin to lose their own shape. They speak, stay silent, laugh, agree, and change in order to please others. And eventually they become a stranger to themselves. That is why being disliked by some people is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it is proof that you are walking your own path. Sometimes it shows that you have boundaries. Sometimes it proves that you refuse to be like everyone else. And sometimes it is simply a quiet sign that you no longer depend on the approval of others. What truly matters is not whether people like you or dislike you. What matters is whether you remain honest with yourself. Because if you lose yourself in an attempt to gain acceptance from others, what you gain is not love. It is merely temporary approval. But when you remain true to who you are, the number of people who genuinely understand you may be smaller. Yet those people will be far more real. In the end, people may dislike you even when you have done absolutely nothing wrong. The reason is not always something bad about you. Sometimes it is something unresolved within them. Your light may disturb someone's darkness. Your calmness may expose someone's chaos. Your confidence may trigger someone's insecurity, so don't expect everyone to like you. And don't expect everyone to understand you. Simply know who you are, protect your boundaries, and continue moving forward. Because the strongest people are not the ones who are loved by everyone. They are the ones who refuse to abandon themselves, even in places where they are not loved.